All right, we are live. See, we've got a few people in the chat, and we appreciate that very, very much. We're gonna um, have a few people. Well, actually, we may not. Maybe I'm not seeing that live viewers. I can't tell. I'm not any good at this producing thing, guys. It looked like we had some people in there. There we go. It finally updated on my screen, so we got a few people in the chat. So we appreciate that. For those of y'all that maybe saw the last time I did a live, you're going to recognize some of the faces on the screen. But one of them is new with us. The only second time I've done the live, so we're going to have some fun. But Adam, why don't you tell us a little bit about your channel and a little bit about your hobby history, if you will.
I've been in the hobby a long time. I ran a card shop for a little while, but been in and out. Probably like many people, got in it, sold, got out of it, sold, got back in it, sold, and now I've been in it for a while again and just enjoying it. And um, I was on Greg's show last year, and he encouraged me to you should start a channel, and I thought, I don't know if I want to do that, but I come from a different avenue when I do my show. My show's all about the Hall of the Very Good, and so I showcase a lot of lesser known players, but players I think should be known. All sports. I've written a lot about baseball, football, basketball. I've called every sport in either high school or college. I was pre and post game for the Ducks. I've done a lot of stuff in my life, so just enjoying this and meeting the people. I mean, I've only been on this for about 2 months, and the people are just amazing. That's what drew me to it, is just meeting everybody. The couple shows I've done with some guests on it have been, man, that's just been like icing on the cake for me.
Yeah, it's a blast, right? It's you know, uh, that's why I got into this. I've talked about it a million times, but my wife got tired of hearing about cards, and you go out and you get to see a lot more people in the community and meet them and get to know them a little bit. So yeah, it's wonderful. It sounds like your story's similar to some of us here on screen. And I will say, in your name, you've got a couple guys that I know a guy on screen with us here that's a Penson guy, and
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
I'm definitely a Flood guy. So yeah, so
So those are my two favorite players, Joe, and
yeah,
have
man,
been for a long time. So that's why I named the channel after them.
yeah, you gotta go after those guys that you respect, and then they don't break the bank, right? That's what I love about collecting
Right.
guys like Flood or Kenny Boyer's another one of my guys,
Yep.
and I can buy his stuff pretty cheap. So anyway, in chat we've got a few guys. We got my buddy Doug, sports collectors out there. He's telling everybody keep it a little redneck. We got uh, Nick Chin, Iowa collector. Hey Nick. We got Brian. He gave the video a like, so we're official. I love it. Thanks, Brian. Coach Neal is with us in the chat as well. We got Dave over at Peacemaker Cards. Thank you. Says yes, more bull. I forgot. I got to get to back to my producing here and put it on there. We got Mark Santucci. Hey, Mark. Tom's with us. My buddy Tom. We're talking about your shop today, Tom. John, nerding out with cards, and Jerry were both talking about it. So he's got an awesome shop in St. Louis.
Oh, nice for Peacemaker there. Give some love to Pitson.
Yeah, I got a little Penson. Oh, and the mayor, he's here.
All right,
He
Chris.
recognizes some studs when he sees them. So, all right. So we were talking a little bit, about crazy like card shop stories, right? So, I was trying to think of it. Something's going to come to me maybe while you guys go around the room because I worked at a card shop, a couple different card shops when I was a teenager, and definitely have seen my fair share of card shows and things like that. But we were chatting a little bit before, and Mike, you were talking about a pretty good story that happened at a card show. Why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, and I also have one I just remember, but I think I've told it before, but I haven't told this one I know on anything. So this was a card show. I know it was in Overland Park. It must have been around 1990. And of course, I was set up there with some friends of mine, and typical show. A lot of the dealers, just like you see now at shows, they're the same guys. And there's this old guy. He had to have been in his 70s, and he had a bunch of cards from like the 50s and 60s. And anyway, I during the middle of the show, we just heard this ruckus, and he was out in the lobby. It was at a hotel, like, and we were in the convention room, but out like a lobby outside of it. We just heard this guy screaming. It was this old man, this old dealer. And what had happened was a kid, maybe 13, 14 years old, showed up at the show with a couple of his dad's binders. And they had cards that were from the 50s and 60s. Well, there were guys before they would even come into the show or when they were leaving or just going in and out. Well, they were buying cards from this kid, and this old guy was pissed. So he was screaming at the kid. The guy who was the promoter went out there. He started screaming at the promoter. The hotel people came. He started screaming at them, just raising bloody hell because this 13, 14-year-old kid was out in the lobby, didn't pay for a table. So, back then the table fees were probably $35, $40. I mean, but this guy was going off screaming that he's never going. I mean, the poor kid was crying. And the rest of us were like, what the hell, man? So the promoter actually was so upset with this guy. He went behind him. He had like a little card table, like 4x4 or 3x3. He took it out and set it out in the lobby for this kid to put the binders, because the kid was just sitting like in a chair or a sofa or something out there. And that guy said, I will never do any of your shows again. And I never saw him ever at any show in the Kansas City area after that. And then a sweet story, I like to tell this one, was I was at a show in Blue Springs, Missouri. First time I'd ever done a show in Missouri. And it was like an L-shaped like strip mall. And it was on the inside. And I had most of my stuff was vintage, even back in those days. And this would have probably been in about the same period. And I had 3 tabletop display cases of vintage and then one of like the modern cards. And there was an 87 Fleer Bo Jackson. And I had it with a, dollar sign and $8 for, the number 8. And this little black boy came and he would look at it, barely could see over the top. He must have been, 6, 7, 8 years old. Nobody with him, no parents, no brothers or sisters, but he would look at it and then he would leave and go around the corner. So I couldn't see him. He'd come back, look at it. I was trying to engage him. He wouldn't say anything. And he did it like 4 or 5 times. And then he came back and he put a nickel and 3 pennies on the top of my display case. And I looked at him. Of course, my buddy who set up, because I had a couple tables and a lot of it was binders, but my buddy was looking at me to see what I was going to do. And I just kind of leaned down to him and said, hey, it's actually $8, but I'm going to give you that card. But because it's worth $8, don't take it out of the top loader. You take it at home and you take care of that. And he was, biggest grin I've ever seen on his face when I handed him that card. And the sentimental side of me hopes to this day that there's he probably be 40 years old by now. I hope he's out there somewhere and he has that card. Don't know who he is, but the sentimental side of me hopes that he actually still has that Bo Jackson card.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet story, right? Yeah, that's the thing about it is, kids, if there's not kids engaging in the hobby, there's, it's not going anywhere. And that's where I take the unpopular opinion of, I don't hate and of course my son's 9 years old. I do Pokemon with him. So, I'm a little bit biased, but it's why I don't necessarily hate the shows that are a good mix of like Pokemon, vintage, modern, because I think, kids are going to get interested in it. One way maybe starts out with Pikachu, maybe it turns into Bo Jackson, maybe it turns into Joe Jackson. You know what I mean? So I think engaging in the hobby is pretty important and keeping the kids, involved. At first story you told, it makes me think about the National trying to ban trade nights in the lobbies of hotels and stuff like that. And it's like, you could try, but you're not going to, that's just not how it's going to work. People they're going to find a way to come together. They're going to trade, they're going to buy, they're going to sell. You would be better off embracing it than you are trying to police it in my mind. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Great stories. Well, Trevor, I know you got a good one because you shared it with me, and strap in, y'all, because this is a pretty good story right here.
So, I was working December 2022, January 2023. I was working down out of Mobile, Alabama on night shift. And so we'd get off about 5 o'clock in the morning and stop and get breakfast. And I'd go home and I'd watch Sammy Thunder and John Wade Boggs fan videos and go to bed. And I'd get up and I'd have, maybe 5-6 hours to kill before we went to work. So I found a card shop just east of Mobile over in Spanish Fort, Alabama. It's called Big Hit Sports Cards. Nathan Caraway's the owner. And I got to going in there 2, 3, maybe even 4 times a week, just killing time and looking. And I was always looking at vintage. And Nathan finally got to the point where I would walk in and I'd say, can I see this? He goes, come here. And so he took me to the back and he goes, All my vintage is over here. Come in, just make sure I see it's you. Come on around the counter, go back there, grab a box of whatever you want, and take it out front and dig through it. I was like, okay. So I'd done that. I don't know how many days, and I'm back in the back one day, and it's just me and Nathan, as far as I know, in the store. I found out later there were a couple of others in a side room, but I hear Nathan's voice change, and he gets real excited. I'm like, what's going on? So I kind of creeped over the door and peeked around the corner. Well, it was just a customer. Nathan was excited about a card they'd brought in. And it was an older guy with his adult grandson had brought him in. They'd come in to pick up a Pokemon card that they'd sent off, that the older guy had sent off to PSA to get graded, and he'd come in to pick it up because PSA upcharged him on this Pokemon card. It was a Charizard or whatever, and they graded it, and they estimated the value of that card, that Pokemon card, at $10,000. So right now, I've just seen the most expensive Pokemon card that I've ever seen that I know of, for me. Well, the card that got Nathan excited is they were going through the guy's box of stuff, and they found a card that he didn't realize was autographed when he put it up. But it was a Tom Brady playoff contender rookie ticket, autographed, out of however many. All right. And I looked it up on my phone, and one had sold for over $2 million at one point. And so Nathan, like, I want to buy this card off of you. He's like, well, I don't, he goes, can I call somebody I know that has one of these and have them come in and see if they think it's real like I do? Make sure I'm not missing something, because this guy has one. We're like, yeah, go ahead and call him. Have him come in. So Nathan calls his friend. His friend shows up, comes in, looks at the card. Yeah, I believe it's real. Nathan, if you don't buy it, I got some buddies that'll buy it. Nathan's friend was Josh Donaldson, first baseman for the New York Yankees. So now in this 15-minute span, I've seen the most expensive Pokemon card I've ever seen. I've seen the most expensive sports card in person I've ever seen. I've met Josh Donaldson, first baseman of the New York Yankees.
Wow, that's amazing.
One trip to the card shop.
That's a day. A day.
I'm going to tell you what, I've been into a lot of local card shops, but Nathan's is still my favorite. Still my favorite one.
I would say so. That's those are pretty good pretty good stories there that happened in a very short amount of time. So,
yeah. I come home and I tell friends, I'm like, you'll never believe this.
So, hey, while you're telling your story, Trevor, Mark chimed in and said, that I guess he's a Wade Boggs fan, watching John Wade Boggs fan as well. And he's asking if you like his top 10 cards. When he does the top 10 cards of the 30s and 80s, I enjoy those. I don't know that I've seen all of them.
Yeah, I've not seen them all either. And honestly, it's because I'm subscribed to so many other content creators that it sometimes takes me a while to get looped back around to watching different videos. But yeah, I don't know. I've seen them all. I do like them though. Yeah, no, he does some good work. I like John's channel. It's very cool. And Nick put in here, if you've seen his first few videos, you might know that his kid, Carter, has been included in the videos, has been selling Pokemon at the shows and buying sports cards with the money. So perfect example of what I'm saying is, kids are going to get involved. I think back to Garbage Pail Kids for me. I was buying Garbage Pail Kid cards, packs or whatever, and then it turned into my love of sports cards. So I think that there's definitely a healthy bleed over there, if you will.
It would help, I think, if, with as expensive as sports cards are today, for the new stuff that's coming out, there's room for Fanatics or Topps or whoever to go back to put out a 792 card set for a couple bucks, it doesn't have any special cards in, to encourage the kids to collect the players that they're watching without having to drop so much money. I mean, you're spending 40, 50 bucks for a box that you have 4 packs with 6 cards in them. I mean, you know, it's all about getting those big hits instead of, can we just have one set that's just for everyday, anybody who wants to collect and put a set together that's reasonable for people to do. And you'd get I think you'd get more kids involved in this baseball card collecting in that avenue too, but we don't have anything like that.
No, yeah, I would completely agree. You know, kids, they, you know, like the simple stuff. My son came downstairs earlier today and he's putting cards in his binder, and he's just putting Patrick Mahomes base cards and Travis Kelce base cards in his binder. You know, if I explain to him that it's a numbered card or something, he thinks it's cool, but for the most part, he just wants to see the players that he enjoys watching, to your point, Adam, and just, you know, enjoy that base card. He's getting a big kick out of it, just like I did when I was looking at 87 tops. You know, I was getting excited about it. So, got Red Light 343's joined us. Orlando's in the house.
Oh, always love seeing Orlando.
Yeah. So, well, Adam, we were talking a little bit. You got that background from some card shops. What kind of stories can you tell us?
Well, there's one I was thinking of after I talked to you guys for a minute. I just thought was fun for me. I was doing a card show in here in Eugene. I live in Oregon, here in Eugene, and the signer that day was Denny McLain. And at this point, he's a big old boy. he had been eating some good food, and he was sitting in about the first half an hour. He was pretty busy, and then after that, like, no one came around, and the show got a little slow. So I left my table and went over and sat with him. We must have talked for a half an hour, just him and I. I mean, I asked him a lot about being in jail, you know, I mean, about what he was going through, but also about his career. I mean, well, we don't realize, well, a lot of us do that follow it. I mean, for about 3 years, he might have been the best pitcher in baseball. I mean, that 31 win season was legit, because the year before he won, I think, 26 or 27. And, you know, this guy could pitch. And then, you know, a lot of stuff just came up. He got involved with a lot of bad people, and he even admitted it to me. He says, you know, I just did stupid stuff, and ended up catching up with me. But I mean, what's the odds that you're going to be able to even meet a guy like that, but then basically get a half an hour with him one-on-one, just you and him talking? So, you know, every so often, you know, something falls right in your lap.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of he was doing more card shows that I'd seen him at in the St. Louis area, and didn't quite get a 30 minutes of his time, but there was one card show that was a little bit later, and there wasn't a whole lot going on. And I went up, you know, and I purchased an autographed baseball from him, and I just kind of started chatting with him, and it was really cool to kind of hear his thoughts on a lot of different things. I didn't get into all of the background stuff, but I asked him, I said, do you think there'll ever be another 30-game winner? And he's like, no, you know, these kids today don't pitch like we used to back then. And really cool to have a few minutes with, you know, a guy that pitched at a high level, you know.
So since McLain, who's had the most wins in any season?
Bob Welch had 27 wins one year. I know
That's the man.
Is that it? Okay. I remember Bob Welch getting a bunch of wins,
And Carlton did too, I think, in 72. Didn't he get 27?
Yeah.
And they they won 54. He won half the games, right?
Yeah. Amazing year.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy.
So my buddy Diamond Relics in the chat here is that he bought Garbage Pail Kids and other non-sports oddities. But being he was a stat geek. I was too. I loved reading the backs of, you know, baseball cards, right? I mean, I'm sure a lot of us did, just sit there and look for hours and hours at stuff like that. Just, really, really like it. Lando said he met Denny, super nice guy, talking to everybody. And then Mark throws out, Guidry had 25 and 78. Guidry's 78 year was a heck of a year.
It's one of the best years ever.
Yeah, Cy Young. Yeah, just a great year. Tyler, we were joking. You threw a little something out there about every time you go in a card shop, what happens?
Well, I walk in with money and leave with none. It's crazy how that happens, but that's about the craziest experience I can come up with. But it seems to be a recurring theme whenever I go into a shop.
Does your wife give you money or just say, I know you're going to spend it all, so here, just take this?
It's more like an allowance if I've been good and
There
done
you
all my
go.
chores. And yeah, then she gives me a little fun money.
There you
But
go.
yeah, I gotta behave so I can keep going to my shops.
Well, just remember, like Mangini says, every card is $3.
That's right.
Exactly. Words of wisdom from a seasoned veteran, I must say. Yes.
Right.
Well,
For
he is
sure.
the president, right?
He's the president for a reason.
Yep.
All right. So the next topic we were going to talk about was, buying the card, not the grade, right? We hear about it. It's the mantra of so many vintage collectors, but we were sharing a little bit beforehand. Some of us were in a text message, like some examples that we had, but I'd love to show some of those on screen. So Mike, you want to kick us off with some, I'm going to solo you up and you show us some cards where you bought the card and not the grade.
Yeah, I'll just go run through these quickly because most of these I'm sure I've shown. But what's interesting about that is I'm going to show 5 really quick, but 3 of them actually are related to the community, actually. So I'm going to start off with a card I've always wanted. And I got this the very first time I went to Columbia and met Chris from Missouri, who I think he was in here. But this is a 1953 Satchel Paige.
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's just a really beautiful example for the grade. And I buy differently than a lot of people in that I don't even look at the grade as I'm buying. I look at the card first. The grade is just another tool because it's going to kind of give me a price point. But this has one of those little PWCC exceptional little stickers they put on the back of it. But I mean, there's a few little creases, but I don't care. I mean, just look at that for 2.5 is beautiful.
We could talk bad about PWCC. I mean, they're gone now, but honestly, those stickers are usually on a card that really does look really nice.
Yeah, it looks really nice. This one I got at a show in Boonville, and I actually bought this from Chris from Missouri. To me, it's this player has a lot of beautiful cards. In fact, I think every card of his of the 60s looks great except his rookie. But I got this from Chris from Missouri, and I know it's authentic because I actually got my measuring tool out, and it's like a millimeter short. But there's nothing else on this card that's wrong with it. There's
great.
no creases. The centering's perfect, and I don't ever upgrade. So this is my 64 Pete Rose. I mean, look at that card. I love it. It's just a great looking card of his. And then these I show, but this one here I got, and Joe, you know what card this is. I got this down at the show in St. Louis with Joe and those guys, and it's this Duke Snyder Bowman rookie. And I mean, for the grade, this card's exceptional. I don't even like to point out the flaw because you have to really look to see the little crease that's on there.
You got to work to find it. Yeah.
Right. And then, of course, my all-time favorite example of buy the card, not the grade, is this one I've shown. And that's my Sandy Koufax rookie. That's just a beautiful card. And the reason it's a 1 is, I mean, you can't hardly even see them, but it's in the white border. There's 2 tiny little pinholes.
I'll take that one all day long.
Yeah. I mean, it's clean, and the registration is impeccable on this thing.
It looks like a 4.
Yeah. Yeah. It easily, could be a 4 or 5. And when I saw this card, it was at a show in Harris Casino. It was really dark, and I just happened to walk by and had to do a double take when I saw the grade. I mean, one good thing about SGC in this case was I could see the grade was a 1. I was like, wait a second. So I went back, and I had trouble in the darkness trying to figure out what the flaw was. And the old guy who was selling it pointed it out to me. But I mean, for somebody on my budget, I could live in these all day long. I love those cards. And then, of course, this was one of my cards I always wanted as a kid, and it has some issues, and it's a low grade, but you can still see Maddie's handsomeness coming out of that. I mean, look at that card. On somebody on my budget, I can take this and bring it home with me, and it's perfectly fine to have a card like this in my collection. I don't care. The eye appeal on this is still beautiful. You can still see Maddie, and I love it. Love that card. I think the highest grade out of all those was a couple 2.5s, a couple 1s, and an authentic. And I love absolutely every one of them.
Well, some great examples, and you're getting some love in the chat. Rob Cash Cards is here. I haven't booted him yet, but I'm encouraged. We'll let him stay. And Chris is patting himself on the back. Yeah, Orlando's asking, how is that a 1? Anybody bidding in CIA that ends tomorrow night? I mean, I'm an eBay guy, Jake, myself. I don't know. Anybody else on here? You guys do anything with CIA?
The only reason I'm not, because I'll tell you what, I'll give them. I'm on an auction guy because that's normally out of my budget. But I've watched the CIA auctions, and man, it's first class. It's good. And if I wasn't saving up for independence and struggling to, there's some cards I would like to bid on. I almost bid on a card that I think I can't remember if it was a Mike Petty card that was on there one time. We had the Minoso, and I almost bid on that one because I thought it would be cool. It looked really good. And I thought it would really be cool to have that in my collection. But no, I recommend if you guys, it was so much fun last time that they had one because a lot of us in the community were in the chat and a lot of people bought cards. So the chat was just full of the buys. And it was about as much fun as you can have on a live stream. It was a really good time. I encourage everybody to go on there tomorrow and check that out.
I've not bid on anything on there. I'm watching some stuff though.
Hey, it never hurts to watch, right?
Yeah, and I just sent some stuff into them for future auctions. So,
Hey, Mookie is offering you a nickel and 3 pennies for the Koufax. He says he's good for it.
You know, Mookie, I know you're the master of the pinhole. I tell you, if I ever decide to sell it, you'll be my first call, man.
That would be kind of the crowning jewel of the pinhole collection, right?
That would be awesome.
Yeah,
that would be tempting. Yeah, he might be able to, for the right price, get that one from me, but it'd have to be for the right price. Definitely, I love that card.
Yeah, great stuff. All right, Tyler, show us some. I'm gonna solo you up. Show us something where you bought the card, not the grade.
Well, so this one got my attention. So I've got a 64 mantle. If I can cut the glare off of it.
There you go.
And really, the only obvious thing is the fisheye that you see below the E in his last name, and a little bit off center, but really nice card. It kind of stood out when I saw it, and of course, this was my first mantle, so I was more than happy to have it. But really thought, dang, glare's rough tonight. Really thought that was a pretty nice card. I think I paid a couple $100 for that, if that. So was happy to add it, and then. This is a 4, so it's a nice card, but got a 67 Yaz that also looks really good.
Looks really good. 4 is the sweet
Yeah.
spot, if you ask me, with a lot of vintage.
Yeah.
If you can get a 4, I mean, 4s a lot of times look really, really good.
Yeah, so really pleased with both those, and you know, I've kind of learned over the last year. I guess one of the big things I've learned is how the whole eye appeal thing, and how. Grading is really subjective, right? And so you can find a really nice card, and it really just is more important to me that it meets my eye and what I want to see as far as the card being really nice. And then I kind of look to the grade, and then at that point it kind of becomes a just a marker for cost, if you will, kind of like Mike alluded to.
For sure, it's let somebody else pay the big money if they can, but I can live in the one or really authentic to 4 range and be just fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, great stuff. Trevor, what do you got?
I've only got one.
That's a good one though. Look at that. That's got to be at least a 4, right? Looks like a 4 to me.
You would think. I mean, it's
centered.
Centered, and the corners are actually pretty sharp.
There you go.
Okay, what's wrong with it, Trevor?
Right here on the back, there was a ring,
Okay.
and it lost just a little bit of paper there at the 51 and 52 years.
Wow.
And other than that,
Oh, that's all day of 4. That's all day of 4.
Absolutely.
that was the second one of those I got, and I actually sold the other one that was a higher graded one and kept that one because I thought that one actually looked better on the front.
Heck yeah, why not? That's a beautiful looking card. That's the type of one you take all day long. All right, Adam, what do you got? You got something where you bought the card, not the grade?
Yeah, I just have a couple. I don't usually buy graded cards. I buy a lot of raw cards and keep them. I'll show you just a couple of the nice, if it'll there we go. It's an Al Rosen from that's a 1952 Bowman. and then another Rosen. I'm a big Al Rosen guy, but this one's, if I could get it centered, it's really, really nice. I mean, I would assume it'd probably be a 4 if it got graded, but
It looks like it.
a couple of the ones, I mean, I'll do a couple of the namesakes. There's a
There
Cliff
you go.
Floyd.
Yeah.
It's a 6.5 CGC. Pretty nice. And then, of course, my favorite card, which is a rookie Pinson.
There you go. Yeah, man,
But,
that's a good looking card.
But most of the time, I buy raw cards more than I don't usually buy a lot of actually graded cards. I get cards graded every so often, but don't usually buy much. But that's a few that I've got. I'd show you.
Those are some great examples. I love it. Yeah, it's so many great cards. You got Rob's all excited. I still haven't booted him out. I'm allowing him.
I love when Rob's driving and talking. I just worry that he's going to crash. You know.
Oh no, I don't worry. I don't worry about him near as much as I do Chris.
Oh yeah.
Adam, we need to get you, me, Rob, and Dave on a video about Veda Pinson. Sign me up for that. I would love to.
Oh,
do that.
hey, I'm with you. Somebody put it together. We'll get it done. We'll get it done.
All right, I got one for this category, and you guys don't even know I own this card. That's the best part about it. So
Yeah, you probably got it for $10, Joe.
no, I'm not showing. Am I showing solo to you guys? I'm not showing
Yeah.
solo to mothers. My other phone, for those of you at home, I'm producing it in front of me, but I'm got a camera here because it's a better camera. So I bought this card. Honestly, at this point, like 4 months ago, it was on eBay. PSA was selling it on eBay. It was, in the vault or whatever. And it popped up and I couldn't believe it. It wasn't one of those that was like one of my insane buys, but it was a really good buy, I thought. And I left it in the vault. So, just did the vault, didn't pay sales tax on it. And if I left it like 90 days, I'd have to pay any kind of service charges on it. Well, I left it because honestly, I felt kind of guilty. It was a spur of the moment thing. And I could have sold it, which is funny. Like 2 months later, I was getting PSA offers on it for nearly twice what I paid for it. Swear to God. I was very tempted to take it. But you got to guess what the grade is on this guy here. I got to cut down the glare. There's a beautiful Jackie. He does have, I should have took him out of the sleeve. There is a crease there that kind of comes through as a bend on the other side. But, and my glare is pretty bad tonight too. I'm not set up like I normally am. Anyway, that there's a 1, and I'll take a 1 like that any day of the week.
Wow.
Absolutely.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah. So I'm more than happy to have it. I don't know why. Like I said, it's got a crease that kind of comes through as like a bend on the other side. I don't know. It fits my collection. I'm building a very low grade 53 set. So my mantle is a 1. My satchel's a 1. Why not have my Jackie be a 1 as well?
Yeah, that's a nice one, Joe.
I think for guys who are, I always call myself or consider myself a little bit lower budget, but there's always normally it comes from the younger generation that says, well, hey, if you don't get a 7, 8, or 9, you might as well not even buy the card. But I totally disagree with that. I mean, for somebody like me, my choice is to either have a card that I really want in my collection or not. And I would prefer to have the card in my collection. And I really don't care what the grade is. As long as it meets my eye appeal and I know I will never want to upgrade from it, I have no problem.
That's how I felt about this one. I was like, oh, man, that's right in my wheelhouse. My other cards are 1s. And the price on it, swear to God, I think I got offered like PSA did the offer thing for like $450 more than what I paid for it, like less than 2 months later. Because I think what they did is they sold it for like low VCP, like whoever listed it or was doing the listing, like it was the absolute lowest VCP for a 1. And it's not I think we all could agree that 1s probably run the biggest, gamut of like condition, right? Some 1s look like they've been wadded up. Other ones are kind of like that, right? They've got some technical issues, but they still look good. And I agree with you, Orlando. Any Jackie is a good card. I'm proud to have it for
Amen
sure.
to that.
Yeah.
And I think as we've gone on and as time has gone on, I know authentic was like the killer. If a card was trimmed just a little bit, or if there's a little bit of paper loss on the back, it just, or a little tiny pinhole, it drops it all the way down to a 1. I would rather have something like that than a really bad crease like right through the guy's face. Or, you know, I would rather have something that's a 1 that's, you know, nicely centered and has pretty good registration, maybe has a flaw on the back that you can't really see. And if there's wrinkles that you can't hardly see them, well, you know, if I have it up on my wall somewhere, it doesn't matter to me. Just doesn't.
So Mike, you read my mind. I was going to kind of put this out to you guys. Like, I feel like when, you know, I got back in real heavy in 2016, back into cards, you know, and grading and all this stuff, authentics were kind of like the scarlet letter, right? You saw that
Right.
A, or you saw authentic, and it was like, oh man, you wanted nothing to do with that, because I think the connotation was it had been trimmed or altered or color added or something. But then I think as I've gotten, you know, deeper in the hobby, I realized that most of these graders probably don't even know. They're just, you know, calling it authentic, or say something that's hand cut and it's like, you know, they just. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Like, to me, I'm much more like willing to have. I might not want an authentic from, you know, something later vintage like the 70s, or, you know, dare I say the 80s being vintage. I might not want an authentic there, but
Right.
the further you go back, definitely the more willing I am. Or if it's a food issue hand cut type thing, I'm way more open to authentics. What about you guys?
Well, that rose is a perfect example. It's not the most expensive card in the world. I could afford a 2, 3, or 4, but this one is so beautiful to me, even though it has a little, I mean, just a millimeter maybe trimmed off the top of it, but there's not anything else wrong. I mean, the centering on that card, there's not a wrinkle on that card. Why would I, you know, I paid, I think Chris sold this to me. You probably remember, I think it was like $60, maybe 80. Why would I spend, you know, $300 on a 3 that's going to have creases when this one looks better? I'll take it for somebody on my budget. I'll do that all day long. Now, but yeah, to your point, if it's something in the 70s where an 8 or a 9 is going to be $100, I don't want it authentic, you know.
Yeah.
But it depends on the card. It absolutely depends on the card.
What about you? The rest of you guys, how do you feel about it?
Well,
I think the same thing that I think all of us are thinking is I would never pass up on an authentic if I had a chance to get a card that I know I couldn't afford in even a 2 or a 3. I mean,
Right.
And it would be mostly 50s and early 60s. I think after, you know, maybe 65, 66, you can usually squeeze into a 2 or 3 at an okay price. But, you know, it's just the way the card market is. You know, I was thinking about this a couple of days ago. If you took Nolan Ryan's career and Fergie Jenkins' career and really looked at it closely, Fergie Jenkins never went to the playoffs, played on horrible teams, won 20 games 8 times, has a winning percentage that's one of the best in the history. And yet his rookie card you can pick up for $30, $40 every single day. You can hardly touch a Ryan in a 1. It's a lot of money. And so it's interesting how the hobby is like that. And so in a case like if you really wanted to be a Ryan collector, I would accept an authentic on a lot of his cards, right? Because they get up there in such a high price that I would probably even go into the early 70s and go after a Ryan in that case where I could see an authentic being justifiable.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, Mike, that's kind of something I've come around to. You know, kind of the more I've got into this. I mean, I think of like the 55 Clemente rookie card. I mean, you find it in a 1 or 1.5. I mean, that's, you know, pushing $1,000 or more.
Right.
And so it kind of comes down to, do you want the card, or is it just one you're going to do without based on your budget? And if it comes down to that, I'm more than willing to take an authentic, you know, and have the card in my collection or have a representation of it. And, you know, there's nothing that says that later on, or, you know, you're at a different stage in life or whatever, you know, that you can't upgrade. But, you know, generally I don't really see myself upgrading a lot of my cards. I mean, I'm perfectly happy with the 2.5 mantle I showed. And I'd assume hang on to it, you know, where I paid a couple $100 than, you know, sell it or whatever later on and go spend more money for the same card, even if it is a little bit nicer grade, doesn't have a fisheye on it, you know, or it has a little bit better centering. What's up, Finn?
So yeah, I think to your point, Tyler, like, yeah, there's sometimes the things that will even make it an A. I don't even know. People will read into it, right? They think that it's got to be something really nefarious or bad or whatever. And a lot of times the A's look really, really good, right? I'd rather have that A that looks good than that one that's it's never been altered, but it's somebody did a burnout on it.
A great example are the Gaudy wide pins that are blank back. But if someone writes just a name of the player on the back, give it to me all day. If the front can be perfect, but because somebody wrote like in pencil, the Frankie Frisch on the back or whoever, or maybe a little bit of paper loss on a blank back anyway, and it makes it a 1, come to Papa. I'll take that one all day long.
Yeah. Hey, Joe, I think it's worth pointing out for the crowd that there's no way you can ever deny a fin is yours. I mean, it's like a mini me sitting next to you.
Yeah.
Just want to get that out there.
Yeah, it's funny. So Rob earlier said that he doesn't buy A's. He's better than that. I can assure you that you are not, Rob. But Rob say, does Finn buy the grade of the card? The answer to that, Rob, is neither. His dad does.
Well, I think a lot of it too. SGC has started putting A, and it'd be men's size or color added or trimmed or whatever, which allows you to be even more selective in the authentic cards that you're willing to buy and put in your collection. I've got I sent one of the 65 combo cards that has Hall of Famers on it, league leaders or whatever. Come back authentic, color added. I've never found out where the color added was added, but it's still in my collection in my box. I bought a Diamond Star Luke Appling that was authentic men's size, and that thing looks like a 6 or better, but it's men's size according to SGC, and I got it way cheaper than if that thing had come back with a 4, 5, 6, 7 on it.
Well, I've got a question for you guys because I don't know anything about it, but I was at a show and there was a card in an SGC holder and it said erased. And I was looking at the card because I was just curious. I'd never seen that and I couldn't find anything. And I asked the guy, I was like, well, so what's it mean by erase? He goes, well, maybe they used some type of little eraser and erased a pin mark or something off of there. I'm like, so you're telling me it's a flaw that now you can't see at all? And it's going to take it all the way down to authentic erased? I mean, do you guys even know, give an example of what that actually means?
I've not seen that. So
it happened to a card one time that I had. When I sent it in, I didn't know it had been erased. It had some pencil marks on the side, I guess. And the person erased it. I thought I didn't know that was a bad thing. If you did it just to take a little bit of the pencil mark off the side. And I guess SGC and PSA both, they don't like that. That means you altered the card, even though you might not have done anything to the card except take away a little bit of that pencil mark that might have been on there. And I got it back and they gave it authentic. And if the thing was a 5 or a 6, it was a really nice card. And I mean, I was okay with it. There's what argument could I have? I'm not a grader, but that's what they told me. It was erased. And I had never heard of that. I had never ever seen a card with that on it or anything.
So, yeah, I haven't either. Orlando chimed in, the erase is altered, and then Randy threw in there, pencil indent can be detected. So maybe if you looked at it real close,
right,
must where be. The indentation was at, but the pencil is gone.
I wonder if that would also be for like a wax stain or a gum stain or something. If someone used like pantyhose or something and rubbed it off, but they could tell like maybe they didn't do a good job. I don't know. I just find that one curious.
Yeah, maybe if they went hard at it or something with the pantyhose, perhaps. But and then here's another. We got this picked up at exhibits. Jim Bottomley that somebody beautifully wrote, Sunny Jim. So that to your point, Mike, there you go. Exhibits are most of them except for 1 year are blank back. So yeah, why not? Now I'm joined by Iron Man here on screen.
Oh, nice.
Tony
Finn's
Stark
looking good.
Tony Stark has joined the chat here. Tom chiming in here with talking slabs. What is everybody's view on PSA new labels versus the old slabs? I will say, for me, not every old PSA slab would definitely be less, but I think more often than not, when I look at one, it would be definitely graded less. I don't think it's a universal across the board type thing, but man, there's a lot of them. I own a couple that I think, man, if I regraded this, it would not get this grade. What do you guys
Right.
think?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I agree. I think the new labels, when you see that ninth digit on that serial number, it makes me a lot more willing to go a grade lower than I might otherwise. So if I was looking for a card in a 5 or a 6 and I see it's got that ninth digit where it was recently graded, I might go down to a 4 gladly, knowing that it's probably would have been graded a 5 or 6 in years past, and keep a little bit of money in my pocket, maybe.
Good,
Yeah.
perfect example I saw today. I went to a card show in McPherson. I didn't go to buy anything, but I went there to hang out with a YouTube friend, Ryan Bullpen Sports Cards. And this guy had a George Brett in an old PSA, like first edition PSA slab that was a 9. This thing, if you send it in for grading now, you'd be lucky if it got a 7. I was comparing it to what my Bretts are that are like 6.5s or 7s, and it was every bit as good as that card. It was off center. One of the corners was really rough, and it was a 9 in an old school PSA slab. So I think it matters. Some of my older PSA slabs, they would not get the same grade. I think there's been enough research and people experimenting on that to say, yeah, you got to be careful getting those old ones.
Like I said, I think I've seen a few that maybe wouldn't change a whole lot. But really, it depends on. For me, I go back to think this: am I selling or am I buying? Because if I'm selling, I want full comps for whatever the grade says.
Right.
Tyler, what do you think of that? You got your thoughts on the old label versus the new label?
Yeah, I agree. You guys have pretty much covered it all. I mean, I've come across cars myself, and they would definitely not grade out today what they graded out in the past. So definitely something to keep an eye on.
I'll be honest with you guys. I don't have a PSA in my collection. I don't buy them. Just a personal thing. So I couldn't answer anything on that one.
No, I got
And you can
Yeah.
say that with any grading company too. I mean, I've got some
Yeah.
old SGC slabs, and it wouldn't grade the same. But then I got some SGC slabs where I think the card was graded accurately, and I think it would get the same grade today. So not all of them are like that, but I'd say the majority of them probably would drop a grade or two.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if Tag or Iconic Grading, which is another AI grading company, if they ever get into doing vintage, to truly see if some of these ones that are getting authentic are authentic. Because I've done this a couple of times where I've taken an authentic and sent it to the opposite company of whatever I got that, and it's been graded and got a number grade. So the problem is graders are, of course, are not all the same, right? And every company has them, and some are good, and some might call it a minimum when I get it and I do the measurement, it's not a minimum. But so your other argument is send it to somebody else and see if it comes back with a grade. And if it doesn't, then it's maybe truly an authentic. But it'll be interesting to see, because AI right now doesn't do any grading of vintage. They're pretty much just modern. And if they could get it to where it could do that, maybe that measurement would make a difference in authenticating that.
So Melissa threw out there, do dealers give lower prices on older labels? I've dealt with a few guys that I know personally that are like, hey, I know it's a 5, a 6, a 7, but they're looking for maybe the lower end of that comp, knowing that. But I've seen other dealers, they're like, no, a 7 is a 7 is a 7. They're going to ask. So I don't know, you guys ran into that, dealers being self-aware that maybe it's not going to bring the same money.
Well, I like to eavesdrop when I go to shows, because a lot of times I don't buy a lot of stuff, and sometimes I don't buy anything. But I like to watch interactions. So I've noticed numerous occasions where the dealer will look at an old slab and offers less than comps when they're buying. But when they're selling a little bit different story. So it depends. And Joe, we've talked about this on our little online chats, and you guys can chime in too, and people in the comments. Are you guys finding more and more, when you do see ungraded cards that are in really nice shape at shows, that the dealers are building in the graded price on some of those.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's starting to get rare to see those really high end
Mhm.
ungraded cards. And I think they're putting, I mean, Joe, you said that there's a guy who, if it looks like it's a PSA or SGC 7 and it's ungraded, he's pricing it as a PSA 7.
Yeah,
It's
we've got
ungraded card.
a dealer in the St. Louis area. Super nice guy. I'm not besmirching him, but he doesn't do any grading, and I'm okay with that. Like Adam, to your point, not everybody needs to grade. I get it. I enjoy it, but I'm one of those people like, there's a old timer I know it says, it's just a hobby, collect what you like, and I kind of subscribe to that mantra. But
Right.
But this dealer, yeah, he's baking in what he thinks. If he thinks it's near mint, you're going to be paying a full-on PSA 7 price for whatever it is that you're buying. And so that's why I've not done any deals with him because of that. I'm not willing to take, even though I trust him, he has a great reputation, and maybe it would get a 7. I'm taking on all of the risk and the shipping, the everything, and the upcharges and whatnot. So
yeah,
Hey, Joe,
you
I
hit
did
on it.
one time I did a little test where everybody speaks so highly of Greg Morris on eBay, right?
Mhm.
And I admit their cards are nice, but he'll put near mint on something, right? So one day I decided I was going to buy 5 near mints, and they think their near mints are going to be 8s or 9s in a lot of
Mhm.
cases. Now these were on vintage, but they were still near mint, and the pricing went a little high. I wasn't bidding on like mantles or anything. I was bidding on lower name people, but I wanted to test it. I took them and put them all into SGC. Gave them all to SGC. I didn't get one back above a 6.
yeah,
And so they might think it's an 8 and they might do their own grading, but it's really, for me, you want to see the card if you can and hold it and be able to look at it. But they're still going to get their near mint price on it if that's what they put it at, when in all 5 cases it never came back as a near mint. It came back as an excellent plus, right? A 6. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. I wasn't mad or anything because I got the cards at a pretty good price and I liked them all and what they came back in. But I was just curious, like, how close were they to what they were saying? And I was 0 for 5.
Yeah, no, I think over the years, maybe and Greg Morris's volume might have played into that. Maybe they can't keep up. They don't have enough veteran eyes to look at it. Because I know, shout out to my man Drew over at Clean Cheap Shots. He buys a lot from them and kind of does the same thing. Like, if he gets it and he thinks they say near mint or X mint or whatever, and he grades a lot through PSA. And I think sometimes they hit it and sometimes they don't. And he's always, there to kind of call it out. So
I've been buying from Greg Morris.
I buy a lot of stuff from Greg Morris and Batter's Box and a few of the other ones that have reputable things. But it's just interesting. It's just, you got to use your own judgment when you're doing that, I think. So I try not to really look at the grade as much as I really zone in on the card and decide what I think it is, and then willing to pay what I think is fair.
I think Joe's spot on. I think Greg Morris has been big for a long time. I bought a lot of stuff from him, but early on when I would buy stuff from him, and I've sent off a lot of those for I never sent anything off for grading for my personal collection until this year. But those older ones that I had bought from him, when I look at them, I pre-graded them and they were spot on. But this looking at the cards the last couple of years, I think their quality control, whoever's looked at those, it's really dropped off, because there's cards that they have as near mint and there's no way it's near mint, not even close to that. It'll have a rounded corner. It'll be off center really bad and have a rounded corner. It's put near mint or near mint and better on cards where you can see obvious flaws that are going to get caught. But
Steven agrees with you. He says, I always felt that Greg Morris always overgraded their stuff. I think they tend to do that. I've bought quite a bit from them, and I'm usually happy with it, but it's never quite maybe what they think it's going to be. And then Chris says, I try not to deal with people that don't subscribe to the same rules that
I do. That Chris is a beauty, isn't he?
He's a sage old.
That is a beauty.
Sage old guy from Greasy Creek.
All right, we all love Chris. I mean, how do you not?
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, we've been talking for a little bit. We haven't shown some cards in a little bit. How about we show maybe some cards that like speak to us, right? Like they don't have to be high value, just something that like when you see it. Mike, we'll start with you. Why don't you show us something that I'm going to solo you up there. Show me something that speaks to your soul, your card collecting soul.
Well, I will show a few of those, but this is definitely not a banger. And I can't tell you how many I have of these, but Nolan Ryan was my guy growing up. And I think that this is just a perfect card. I love everything
I agree.
about that card. I think even the AL All-Star matches the coloration on that Angels uniform. That's just a badass. And then this was, those of you who don't know the story, for some reason, my parents bought me some cards when I was just a toddler, and it was this pack of 74 tops, and there's a Nolan Ryan in there. And then they bought me a couple of packs of cards for Christmas as a stocking stuffer in 80. And a Nolan Ryan, it wasn't this one. I have a ton of these. But the 74 Ryan, which I didn't grab, and the 80 Ryan, I think are two of the most badass cards. And I actually found a picture that looks like this. It's on my wall down in my bar area, my man cave area. But this is not a card that would break your bank. In fact, I don't have a graded version of this card. I probably have 10 of these, but I just love that card. And then being a Vada Pinson fan, I got to show this because this is one of those things I didn't knew existed for a long time. But here's his 71.
Yeah,
and that's
cool.
And that's Thurman Munson. Everybody talks
Yep.
about the Thurman Munson card. That action shot to me is just as good. But what I really like about this one, and I had never seen it until this year, is it's a O-Pee-Chee. And I love the back.
Yep.
I love the back of that
Those
one.
floating heads of the 1971 O-Pee-Chees are outstanding.
Yes.
Yeah, I absolutely.
Agreed.
Oh, you know what? I lied. I do have the 74 here.
Oh, there we
look
go.
at that.
There you go.
Love that one. Absolutely love that one. And then I got to show this for my St. Louis buddies because I'm a big fan of this guy, although I'm not a fan of the Cardinals. Their history, I am. But isn't that just about the most beautiful card?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. That's the 53, right? The 53.
Yeah, that's a 53 Bowman. I love that. And then my all-time favorite football card, I like showing this card, is the 55 Topps All-American Jim Thorpe.
Another great one.
Isn't that just beautiful? I just absolutely love that card. I mean, I can just look at that card for days. It's got so many different things popping on it, from the background to the colors, and then just badass Jim Thorpe. I mean, I love that.
That is a good card.
Yeah.
Very cool. Love it. Tyler, I'm going to solo you up. Show us some cards that speak to you.
Sure. Well, I've got a couple. The first one is a 55 Topps Monty Irvin.
Love that card.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and bought it raw. I think this may have actually been a Greg Morris buy. But love that card. If you look at the maze from the same set, it's a similar kind of the really light blue background that kind of pops. And Monty Irvin is a guy that you've heard me say about Ernie Banks, never took a bad picture. I don't think Monty Irvin did either. I mean, he's got some beautiful cards and love it. So that's one that speaks to me. I've got one. I didn't know if we were going to show any autos or not, but for some reason, I don't know why. It may be the fact that it's a rookie card and I've got it as a signature, but I really like this Mazeroski rookie.
Nice.
Wow, that's
as well.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really like that one. Of course, I'm a post-war rookie collector. And so really like that one. And, Maz and hitting the shot in the World Series to, do what he did. It just kind of spoke to me. I really like that card as well.
Yeah, that's a great card. One that I've got to get now that I'm working out a 57 set. I need that. And I got to get a Maz rookie. I don't have it. And
Hey,
he's
Tyler,
still
do you remember seeing his Hall of Fame speech?
I have watched it on YouTube. Yes.
It's about 30 seconds and he just starts crying. It's the best Hall of Fame speech ever.
Yeah, it's heartfelt, that one. And then on the flip side, you've got Euchre's Hall of Fame speech that has me in tears whenever I go back and watch it. So,
oh yeah.
All right, Trevor, show us some beautiful cards.
Well, that's my all-time favorite baseball card.
That's a great card.
No.
And then
Lots of beautiful cards on that set.
That could be wall art. You could have that portrait up hanging in an office or something somewhere. That'd be great. That's a great image.
And then my favorite, that there's one of my favorite non-sport cards.
It's a cool card.
Nice.
It's a 1910 Dockman and Sons gum card of Buffalo Bill. But my favorite autographs are the ones I got in person.
Right.
Rob says he says show a Reds card, Trevor. He wants to see Reds. I got a feeling
Well,
he's
I'm
getting
sure
luck.
Reds players, it's just
Yeah.
the Reds cards. Now, Geronimo is one of the harder autographs to get of the Big Red Machine. There you go, Rob. Now you can be quiet.
There we go. He says those count.
Yeah. Well,
So
just to make him happy, I'll show Foster first year Reds card autograph. And I'll show him Geronimo's first year as a Red autograph.
There you go.
And then
I love that card. That's a great card.
yeah, but so those are all the ones that you get autographed in person mean a lot more to you. And then those other two are just, I think they're absolutely beautiful. The colors just pop on that Buffalo Bill card and everything about Thurman Tucker card, between the colors and being able to see the muscles in his forearm tensed up and the crowd in the background and the beams and the windows in the stadium. And it's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Rob's happy. He says I can always count on Trevor. So, and Trevor knows this, but George Foster's coming to a show next month in the St. Louis area. I have that rookie card is on the way to me right now, somewhere in the USPS universe. It's on its way to me. I'm going to get that one signed. All right, Adam, you're up. I'm going to solo you up. Show us some beautiful cards.
It's my Sam Jethro.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's a 52 tops. It's probably like a 2-ish, I guess. But this is how I do a lot of my cards. I put them in card savers and then in a sleeve, and then I put my own label on them, so I can
Looks
kind of always
great.
know what
That looks
where
really
they
good.
are. And I'm not a big autograph collector, but being here in Oregon, we're big Ahmad Rashad fans because he was Bobby Moore when he played for the Ducks. So I had to have an Ahmad Rashad in my thing. Now you guys are going to laugh, but since I've been a little kid, I've been a diehard New York Jets fan, which they haven't won a game in about 20 years. So, but John Riggins,
Oh, yeah.
rookie,
Rock Chalk Jayhawk, John Riggins.
in my flip, from I love these Mag Pros.
Yeah. Looks great.
You might not see many of these, but I'm a big pony man. I thought Craig James was an outstanding running back for SMU, and it was right after him and Dickerson left that they were the only one that I've ever heard of get the death penalty. Their football program was disbanded after that.
Tennessee should have got it several years ago. I mean, we sucked bad enough. They should have just told us to quit, but we're digging out of that.
And then one more, just one I picked up. It's I was a fan of Mickey Lolich. I think he's really an underrated left-handed pitcher.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
In that 67 World Series, was it 67 or 68 when they played St. Louis, and him and
68.
Gibson going back and forth was just beautiful. So that's just some of my stuff.
That's great stuff. I love it. So I'm going to solo myself here. I'm going to show a couple cards. And here's a card that I actually, this is I think I've had this for years. This is probably a childhood card. And I want to get a nicer copy of it, maybe. But I just love the 73 Thurman Munson. I just think it's one of the greatest images on a card ever. I don't know. I just absolutely love it. This is a card that I'm going to
They
pick
don't
up a
show
nicer
enough
copy.
catchers in the catching position, Joe. And I always like the pictures when they show the catcher in the catching position.
Yeah, I just think it's a cool card. There's something about it that really it speaks to me, right? And here's another card. One of my Gas House Gang guys here. It's in my Mag Pro with my flip. There's Tex Carlton. The red background, the old style wool uniform with the birds on the bat. I don't know. There's something about this card. His kind of piercing gaze, half kind of smile. He helped the Cardinals win that, make it to the World Series and not a big name in Cardinal lore, but I love that card. Wait, you got to show something? You're giving me, okay. Wait, Finn's going to show something here. All right, come on. Got to show it up here to this camera. Can you show it up here to that one there? Get it closer.
Oh, nice. Mean Joe Green.
Mean
baby.
Joe
Joe
Green.
Green is his guy.
Nice, Finn.
Yeah.
I like it because it shows him when he has his cast on his arm.
Yep. 'Cause
9
Finn-
years old, and he knows about Mean Joe. That's a good man.
Well,
Right.
he broke his arm earlier this year, and he was in the middle of his football season, so it cut it short. So I had to tell him about Mean Joe Green and what he used to do wearing a cast in the game. So, all right, you gonna show the next one here? This is a cool. It's like a 1980, like it's like maybe it's a Zographs. I can't remember, but it's
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Nice card, Finn.
yeah.
Yes.
So what else you got there? Oh, he's gonna show one more here. What is this? Oh, it's a newer card. This is Mahomes.
Yeah. He's a good one to collect.
Yep.
Used to watch his daddy pitch all the time.
Yes,
Mhm,
yeah,
Pat
and
Mahomes.
yeah, Finn knows that. He goes, "You know Pat Mahomes?" I said, "Yeah, I know who Pat Mahomes is." Rob chimed in with the 69 bench. That's a great card.
It is.
for
Yeah.
sure. So there's a lot of cards that I think don't have to be big, rare, high dollar cards. They can sometimes just like speak to you, right? So good stuff.
Hey,
Well,
Joe,
guys-
you were asking earlier question about, when you were at a card show or a card shop. I remember one story after seeing that. I had a customer come in, and he had a big, huge binder, and he just wanted to show me. And every single card he had was of a catcher with his mask on. That's all he collected. It was
Wow.
phenomenal. It's one of the best collections I ever had seen, because he was really passionate about showing it to me. And the guy was probably in his 40s or 50s at the time. And I just was drooling over this, because he had him going as far back as, into the 30s. But if it had a mask on or some type of gear on, he had it. If he didn't have any gear on, he didn't have it. He didn't want it. That's all he collected. That's why he was coming in, was seeing if I had any.
That's really cool. Just that shows you there's just so many different ways to collect, right? You can you name it. You could do so many different things. That's really cool, though. Chris is asking if Finn gets royalties for saving this show. Well, he's disproportionately compensated for what he does. So,
Yeah.
and then Diamond Rolex, I had huge hopes for Pat Mahomes when I pulled his 92 Leaf Gold rookies as a kid, or 91. I remember. I know what card you're talking about. That's great.
Yes.
The Leaf Gold. So, all right, guys.
Wasn't that Musina's first card? It was that
yeah.
set, right?
91. I believe 91.
Yeah.
That was his rookie card as well. So, yep, I remember those. But guys, we're an hour and 7 minutes, so trying to keep it around that point. So, any closing thoughts before we get off here? We had a lot of fun.
No, it's
Yeah.
great.
I was
Yeah,
going to say
thanks.
one cool thing about the hobby is some people I watch and they get really locked in to how they collect or what they collect, and they don't really adjust. And I'll show two things really quick. And this is one I was going to show for a card that speak to me. So I have 3 Jackie Robinson cards. I have the 54 and the 56, and those are always my 2 favorites. And the one I didn't really like that much was the 55, because I thought it was kind of plain. But over the years, when I look at the 55 and how it pops with that
Hold
color,
on.
this
Beautiful.
this has become my favorite. I just love how that really it stands out. I love that card. And so it's one of those things where your attitudes and things can change. And another thing I always get a kick out of is people talk about a guy who was a prolific autograph signer, and they kind of make fun that, man, you could just get his cards and his items signed. They're out there everywhere. They're not worth very much. But I was at my local card shop when I was a kid, and I went there so much that I was almost like the guy's surrogate son. He became a mentor to me. So I always got to go in before the show started, and I could talk to the guys who he brought in to sign autographs. And for this particular signing, he brought in a guy, and he saw me wearing an American Legion t-shirt, because I was playing American Legion ball. And he looked at me and he goes, "Hey, do you know who's the first player who played American Legion baseball to make the Hall of Fame?" Well, I knew what that answer was based off of who was asking me that, because he liked to promote himself a little bit. And it was Bob Feller. So I got to sit and have a conversation with Bob Feller before they even opened the show. And I had him sign this. And this is what's cool, is there's a ton of Bob Feller autographs out there, but there's not any other but this one that I got in person that he personalized to me.
Oh, very
It says,
cool.
"To Mike,
Wow.
best wishes, Bob Feller." And this is really special to me. I know we didn't really have time to show a lot of autographs. And but it's just, you know, it doesn't matter what other people think about what you collect or, you know, what's valuable or what's valuable. If it makes you happy,
Yeah.
that embrace it. You know, that's what this is all about.
Absolutely. Yep. So in the chat, we had somebody asking, where did Iron Man go? She must be trolling us because nobody's named Sarah Connor, right? Sarah Connor.
That's my mom.
Pretty soon
Mom
it's going to be
in the
Dr.
chat.
Doom mask.
It's a good thing I didn't talk prices of what I paid for cards too much with my wife in the chat here. So,
Well, now you just kind of told her that they were too much.
well, yeah, we'll let her find out on her own, buddy.
Well, I kind of just explained it a little more.
Okay.
Dollars.
Yeah, they're all $3. That's right, dear. They were $3, every one of them. All right. Any other closing thoughts, you guys?
Well, thanks
John
for
was just
having
gonna
me,
say,
guys. I appreciate it. It's
Yeah,
great to
thanks
get
for
to know
having
all
us
you
on,
guys.
Joe.
I've been watching, so it's awesome.
This is a lot of fun. We'll have to do it again soon. Thanks for everybody that's tuned into the chat. We really appreciate you getting on with us and engaging. It makes it a lot more fun. And we'll hopefully we'll see you. We'll do another one of these in maybe another week or two. So thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
See
All right,
ya.
take care, everybody.